Hola Madridistas, welcome to our preview for our visit to the Estadio Benito Villamarin at Betis. It's not always been straightforward to win, but Real Madrid recently have won 5 of their last 7 matches against Betis. But before we get into any of that, let's welcome the rest of the panel for today. So we have a very special guest in Manuel, who's a hardcore Betis fan, and he's an active member of the Peña Bética as well, which I hear from his Twitter. So, which is the official Peña for Real Betis. So, how are you doing, friend? Introduce yourself.
I'm doing all good, all good. Looking up for the game. It's going to be definitely an interesting game. I'm very happy to share this moment with you guys.
Okay. And also, the other guy on the panel needs no introduction. He's the bread and butter of this channel, the Nigerian prince himself, So Farooq, talk to us. How have you been? Did you actually watch, our golden boy get his trophy?
Oh, I saw pictures, I saw highlights, but not the whole shebang. Actually, it's not been a very good week for me because I've been a bit down with flu and all that. So, but then, yeah, hopefully, the weekend is coming. It's football again, so there's no better treatment than victory at the Villamarin at the weekend.
Hey, I know you, Farooq. I know even though you're sick, you would have probably caught the Chelsea and Man United game.
Yeah, I did, man. I did under my blanket, but that's the thing, like football is what keeps us going eventually, one way or another.
Exactly. So, before we actually get into the meat of the preview, let's learn a bit more about Manuel. So, Manuel, tell us, how you actually became a Betis fan. And Farooq was really interested, because he was like really wondering how you didn't become a Sevilla fan and instead became a Betis fan.
Well, Sevilla, actually, I was born in Sevilla, even though I'm half Brazilian and half Swiss citizen. But my parents met in Sevilla and I was born there and raised there. And Sevilla is a very split city. The supporters are very 50-50 towards 50% is Sevilla, 50% is Real Betis. And I don't know, I guess it's something that it calls your heart, right? When you're a child and you see some colors, you align more to those colors. You have a certain set of friends and family that they also align a little bit more with those colors, and you get dragged into it. And since I have a memory, I have been a Betis supporter. I have 3 instances that I remember when I was like 3-4 years old. One of them was my grandfather, the Swiss one, giving me as a present a Real Betis shield, like a really small thing for holding my keys. And then my best friend, up to today, I'm 42 years old. I know I look much younger, but my best friend up to today, he's also really a fanatic of Real Betis, and so we shared a lot of our childhood together and watched and suffered and enjoyed with our team, because we have had really bad periods of time, on our history, like getting relegation, then back to the first tier again, and then again relegation. And one of my aunts, the sister of my grandmother, she was a very good Betis fan, and she even received like a present from the club back in the 90s, which was a golden and diamond emblem of the club. So all these things make me develop my taste for Real Betis, and I don't want to slash and to speak badly about Sevilla, because actually they have done a great history in the last 20 years.
This is a Real Madrid podcast. If you feel free to, talk bad about Sevilla.
Okay. But they have done actually a great job in the last 20 years. That's undeniable. You see the record sheet, the Europe Leagues they have won, the Kings Cups and everything they have achieved. It's amazing. But that has only made us Betis fans stronger and more resilient and more decisive in terms of saying, like, no, I don't care how much you win. For me, the best club in the world is Real Betis, and that's how we stand. That's our motto. It's Viva el Betis, man que pierda, which is Viva el Betis. It's like God save Betis. Man que pierde is even if we lose, kind of like Liverpool fans. So we have this resilient mode. It doesn't matter. We lose today, I love you more. If we lose tomorrow, I will love you even more. And that's how we overcome our adversities. But thankfully, we are experiencing the best period of our history, 3 years in a row classifying to Europe League, and hopefully we keep on going in this same direction.
So, Manuel, if I can summarize what you're saying, is that basically you guys are the noisy neighbors of Seville then?
Yeah. I mean, you look at the stats in the stadium, it's crazy. We get 50,000 people pretty much every Sunday or every game at home. While Sevilla, they get 33,000, 36,000, so we are, I would say, a more trustworthy fan base because we go more to the stadium than they do. And also, if you see the games when we play in other places, in other cities, we always have a base of 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 Béticos that have gone there or that actually live in those cities and they join to the game as well, so we are very well liked in Spain. Actually, there was some sort of research by some platform, which was the most beloved club in Spain. So you could value from 10 to 1. And the club that averaged a better average was Real Betis. So we can say that we are the most loved team in Spain, even on top of Real Madrid or Barcelona, because at the end, Real Madrid and Barcelona has this penalization that the one that loves Real Madrid and gives a 10 to Real Madrid will give a 0 to Barcelona, and sidewise, right?
Exactly.
But many people who are from Barcelona, from Zaragoza, from Athletic Bilbao, Valencia, they will have a second or third choice. It will be Real Betis. So we are very liked, and that's something that we try to share with our happiness and with our spirit.
Exactly. Yeah, you nailed the point, So I don't know if you know La Liga Michael on Twitter. So he actually had a campaign out, I think a couple of years ago, starting. He was saying that all Real Madrid and Barcelona fans, they should actually pick a second team in La Liga just to, help support the league and, watch more of the matches. And I remember 2 years ago, I picked Real Betis to watch a few games. I think I watched close to 10 games that season. And then the season after that, I picked Real Sociedad. So yeah, definitely a really good club to, like and to have as a second team. Yes, especially if you're a Real Madrid fan.
You got to see a little bit how the atmosphere of the stadium, even if it's through TV, that it's always packed. And
Exactly.
we are very noisy normally, and we enjoy a lot of games.
Yeah. So do you want to get into the meat of the podcast today? So I guess the first question comes, Real Betis are right now in 7th, just 1 point off of Real Sociedad. So how has your season gone so far? Did you actually feel like you are in the right place, or do you feel like you can be even better?
I think that we can be even better. I think that we are, despite the last 2-3 games, we have shown a little bit more doubts in our style of play. But we have been growing through the start of the season. We did change a couple of big pieces in our team. So, for instance, Sergio Canales, he has been very important in the last seasons for Real Betis. He moved to Mexico at the end of last season, and he was one of our playmakers. The other playmaker was Nabil Fekir, who sadly is injured, and we do miss him very much because he's, who cannot... you cannot describe Nabil Fekir with words when you have seen him play, right? He's magic on the pitch, and he's capable of doing the unthinkable. And these kind of players, it's always something that draws attention, helps your teammates because he gets two defenders covering his space, so he opens a space for the attacker, for the winger, or things like that, and we miss that from Nabil Fekir. And also William Carvalho, who is the other playmaker that we had on the squad. He started the season injured. He's injured again now, so he has not been able to pick a pace of like 4 or 5 games, straight games without problems, where he can feel confident and play and give whatever he has in his body, right? And from that we switched to Isco. He is an amazing playmaker. You guys enjoyed him for many years. I think that he's performing. He has gone back to his top form. If you look at him, he's thin, he's working out like crazy, and he's very mentalized after the last year and a half that he had really difficult and tough time, as he declared in several interviews. But he's become one of our, he's the most important player in our squad at the moment. because Nabil Fekir, sadly, he's injured, and he came back from his torn ligament injuries, but then he got something muscular 2 games ago, and apparently he will not be back until January. So we rely a lot
Nabil
on
Fekir,
Isco
he has
to
a
make
knee
him
injury
play.
right now.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he broke the cross ligaments, right, and last season and in January, and he made his comeback like 3-4 games ago, playing 20 minutes, 50 minutes here, and then in Europe League he played the first half, and after the first half he was substituted, and apparently he's being injured again, so he will be apparently 1 month and a half again out of the games. So we probably will not see his best form in the next 3 months, because he will need to pick up the pace and sensations, confidence. It's a difficult injury to come out from, right?
Exactly.
But so Real Betis, we have, even with all this situation, we are there. We are 7th, as you will say. It's 1 point behind the Real Sociedad, 3 points behind Athletic de Bilbao. So we are in the fight for the 5th or 7th place on the league, which is the fight that we want to be, and that our economical limits sets our fight to be over there. And so we are happy, despite there are things that are improvable. There are games that we have pretty much thrown the second half, and the other teams were able to come back and make the equalizer. There are things to grow on and to improve, but in overall, I think that we are first in our Europa League group. We are forwards in the Kings Cup. Even yesterday was a suffering game, and we are well positioned in the league to keep competing for our objectives.
Exactly. And before we actually go into the rest of the lineups, let's just take a moment, to appreciate Isco. As Madrid fans, we've continuously been seeing Isco's highlights. He has really looked like a new version of himself. He looks leaner, meaner. I feel like I've even seen some clips of him tracking back. So he's putting in all the hard shifts. So Farooq, do you want to actually chip in with one of your favorite Isco moments in Real Madrid?
In Real Madrid, he won a couple champions, right? 3 Champions League, I think, with Real Madrid. So I mean, he has been an important player. 5 Champions League.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not so good in Real Madrid numbers. My bad. But yeah. I mean, outstanding player. I think that we are really happy, really lucky to have him.
Okay. How about you, Farooq? Favorite moment of Isco?
Quite interesting, but actually, one goal comes to mind. Actually, it's not, it wasn't a moment of magic, but because like the moment of magic was by Karim Benzema, but it was, in the game against Atletico Madrid, where basically Atletico Madrid was, I think it was in the quarterfinals of the UCL, and Atletico Madrid were basically on the verge of completing a comeback, and Isco was just there to rebound a Toni Kroos shot, and that basically sealed the game for us. And I think that's one of those moments. But I would say, like, 2016, 2017, Isco was basically unplayable. He was phenomenal. There was a stretch between 2016 and 2018 where you could argue that Isco was the best creative midfielder in the world. He was
Hands down.
He was really that good. Like ahead of whatever the names were. And he was arguably one of, maybe even the most important, player in that, system that Zidane was playing with 2 attackers, where Benzema and Cristiano. I think that's the period I can pinpoint. And the moment, that's one that just stands out, to the top of my head right now. But yeah, it's as you said, like, I haven't seen any of the Real Betis game, but I mean, Isco has 9 man of the match in 13 games. He's arguably, alongside Jude Bellingham, the most informed, most influential, attackers in the league right now. So, and as you said, like, you see, even, you read pieces of that. I was reading a piece, on Isco earlier today as well, that you're saying about the fact that, for the first time in a long time, you see like Isco is actually, enjoying playing football again, because let's not forget, like, towards the end at Real Madrid, it was just all, doom and gloom, and he was just sitting on the bench, not happy, doing this and that. And then he went to Seville, he went to again in Seville to Sevilla, and then Union Berlin, and what is. So it all didn't work out. So seeing someone who is pure magic. And the thing about people like Isco is that there are very, very few of them left in football, because now football is focusing on a lot of automations and tactical rigidity and all this. So like seeing creative players like Isco play with joy and freedom, I mean, for any neutral football fan, honestly, like it's pure fun, honestly, like it's joy for us. And honestly, like, I mean, I wish you score all the best, just not against us at the weekend.
And
It's got.
go ahead.
Sorry, I completely agree with you commented. Like, this is the kind of player that makes people who likes the sport enjoy the moments of the sport because of what he's capable of making out of the place. So it's definitely an outstanding player.
Absolutely. And Manuel, do you actually remember Isco's announcement video that Betis posted with John?
Yes. It was amazing with the Jon Snow. Definitely, it was beautiful, and I remember many friends of mine writing me WhatsApp saying like, "Dude, we have signed this bluff. This is going to be terrible." And I have the WhatsApps like screenshotted saying like, "Dude, he's going to kick us. Like he's going to come back at his best version again." I saw his interview where he explained how psychologically challenging had been the last year and a half for him, how he needed to reset after, as you will mention, Farouk, the Sevilla and Union Berlin situations. Those were big setbacks for him, and he needed to reset. He did psychological work with professionals, and you see the result here. Like the guy is 9 times out of 13 games played by him. He's been the most valuable player, chosen by supporters. So that means a lot, and I think that he's feeling the how do you say, the people's warmth, and he's enjoying the moment. He's in a group of people in Real Betis that's something that I like to see every training. You see there's a group of friends over there, and they feel all connected, they feel as one, and they support each other like crazy. So I'm very happy to have him there, and the Just Know was amazing because actually it's a representation of all that we are seeing. Like I came back from the dead, and now I am giving my best again, and running like crazy, dribbling like crazy, making those crazy passes that nobody else sees, and make us fans in general, and particularly the Betis fans, enjoy his talent.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Manuel, I'll just ask you, like, how much do you think the influence of Manuel Pellegrini is? Because, like, let's not forget, like, Pellegrini was the one who also gave him his big breakout, at Malaga in the past as well. Like, how much of an influence do you think, Pellegrini has with, restoring that? As you mentioned, like, it's basically a band of friends who are just, doing stuff, and he's enjoying, and all the psychological burden that he has been through as well.
I think it's completely determination. How do you say? Sorry, it's really important. And Pellegrini is making a really important mark in all of that. Not only with Isco, but with the whole team. He's a super experienced coach. He has been manager for Real Madrid, Manchester City. Got the best result in the history of Malaga. Also Villarreal. He built the first big great Villarreal. He did build it with Riquelme and Forlan. And as you well mentioned, Isco with Malaga, those seasons, he was incredible to watch, even though he was 19, 18 years old. And it was such a joy to see this happiness expressed with the ball, right? And dribbling here and passing there and everything. And I remember the interviews of his presentation for the Real Betis. And we have Ramon Planes, who is our director of business director, like general manager, kind of like. And he was saying like, well, when we received the chance of Isco being able to come, I spoke with Manuel Pellegrini. He said, definitely, like, I know this player. I know how he works. I know that he's in a good mentality point of being, and I think that for Isco, it was amazing, the fact of being able to work with somebody who got so much and such a good performance for him when he was so young. So it's in all the ways, again, like the Jon Snow advertisement, right? It's again like coming back to the origins. He's like, I'm here again, and again with the coach that made me become prime football player for the first time. So I think, but Manuel in general, we have won a King's Cup 2 years ago with him. We are getting our best sports results, like performances in the last 3 years in a row, and this is something that we have never seen. So he is an all-around amazing manager for Real Betis, for the team, how he builds the group and everything.
Absolutely, and it just goes to show how good of a manager he is, because in today's game we don't see a lot of teams playing with a number 10. And how has he actually been able to make that work? How has he been able to set up the rest of the attack and make sure the team is still good on defense?
Well, he demands from everyone in his team to run and to fight, and he likes to do a high pressure. So he likes to pressure the rival team when they try to play the ball from behind. Real Betis, you will see normally they are going to be pressing on top of the three quarters of the rivals side of the pitch, and Isco is. It's Isco now. Before it was Nabil Fekir or Canales when he had to play that role. They all have shown a lot of compromise in this side, because when you are in a group of friends, you give you 120% or you 150%, right? Because you have each other's back. So if they break this line of pressure, you run back and you run back like crazy to help your teammate. And that's what we see from Nabil, in the last years from Nabil and Canales. That's what we're seeing with Isco this year, and that's something that is really enjoyable. Sometimes some of the supporters, we criticize that we would like to see different side of plays with two forwards instead of a proper number 10 and things like that. But at the end, he's the engineer, right? He's the one that has the ideas. He's the one that coaches the team and knows who is better and knows his ways to try to win the game. So we have to respect that, and he's doing definitely a good job. So, and it's a pleasure to see a number 10 because it's normally those are the magic ones. And now we have Magisco. We are saying like Magisco, because he's actually delivering, right?
Absolutely. And speaking of your other attackers, some people were touting Abde as one of the up-and-coming stars of La Liga. He was taking Barcelona by storm. He was probably one of the best dribblers in that early parts of that season when he broke onto the pitch. But how has he been actually for you guys? Has he been living up to his name?
Not yet, but because we have high expectations with him, right? And I think that he's a very young. He's 21 years old. He's very talented. He's very good. Now you can see that now he's in full form, so he can be pressing and running and dribbling the 90 minutes and going full speed. So he's getting to his top, to his peak form, but still he has up front at Ayoce Perez. He's also playing really well, and he was already last year with us. So it's a beautiful competition between them two because they are both of them really good players. A little bit different on the style of play that they present or that they offer to the teammates. But little by little, I think that Abde is starting to deliver. Actually, yesterday we won in the Kings Cup. We were able to recover from a loss of 0-1. Abde scored the 1-1 goal, the equalizer, in the minute 88. And then he gave the pass to Miranda so that Miranda could assist our striker for the final 2-1. So he was decisive, and he was the 90 minutes on the game. So I think that little by little he's reaching the expectations that we have from him, but also with the idea that he's a very young player and he has a lot to grow still.
Absolutely. So, let's kind of get into the Betis lineups. So you were mentioning a couple of players were out with injury. Hector Bellerin is actually out because he had a red card in the last La Liga game.
Yeah, so we have the doubts on the central backs. It's going to be Pesela. Is one of the doubts because he was he asked for being changed in the Europa League game a couple games ago, and so we are in doubt if he will be in the starting 11 or it will be Socrates Papastodopoulos. I'm unable to say.
I still can't pronounce that name. I'm not going to try to.
It is hard, but well, we will see. That's my biggest doubt actually. Then Chadi Riyad, he's going to be the other central back for sure. On the left side, I think that Abner, the Brazilian left wing, is going to be playing. And on the right side, Aitor Ruibal, since Yusuf Sabali is out for injury and Bellerin is out for red card. Then we have Guido Rodriguez. He got injured today, so I think that he will be missing the next month and a half of the competition. So we have big problems there because William Carvalho is also not recovered. So we have Marc Roca, we have Andrés Guardado, and we have Sergio Altamira, who is the youngster that we signed last minute from Getafe. And I think that it's going to be Marc Roca and Sergio and Andrés Guardado on both as defensive midfielders. And then it's going to be Ayoce on the left wing attack. It's going to be Isco as the number 10. On the right is going to be Hassan Diao. Hassan Diao, he's a youth player that just made his eruption like 7 games ago with the first team, and he scored like 3 goals in the first 3 games. So he's doing a really good job. And actually, he's now on front of Luis Enrique, which is the Brazilian winger, which is also a talented player. And on top, as a striker, I think it's going to be William José, the Brazilian. That's my bet for the starting 11. With the doubt of Petzela, I don't know if Petzela will recover or if we will see Socrates having his first La Liga appearance.
Yeah, that's indeed still a very strong lineup, even with all of the missing players. So, correct me if I'm wrong, the left back, Abner, he used to be a former Madridista?
No, Abner, he was from Atlético Mineiro, from Brazil.
Okay.
He was in the Olympic team of Brazil that won the Olympic Games. So he's a gold medalist for the Olympic with the Olympic national team. And he's still young, a little bit criticized by many supporters because we expect more. And because he came when Alex Moreno went to the Premier League, and Alex Moreno was performing at a really good level. So it's difficult to fill those shoes right away, right? And mostly coming from Brazil, you need some time to adapt. But I have high expectations with him in the future.
Absolutely. Before we head into the Real Madrid side of things, we'll take a couple of comments. So, Chaparro Blangota says, Hala Madrid yourself, Chaparro. Thanks for tuning in. Ashik says, I am here, and Jacob didn't doze off today. Woohoo! So that is a running joke on this podcast. So sometimes, it gets late in India and I do doze off, but then I just couldn't miss today's episode, Manuel, a really important guest, is here, so, I'm always awake. So he also says he has a prediction. So he says he's going to get a standard statement out of the way. So he's going to predict a Joselu hat-trick against Betis.
Whoa.
It's bold words. So
that's hard.
So actually, Manuel, for your knowledge, so like there's a running bet between me and Ashik actually. So like Ashik wants, Galatasaray jersey with Hagi. I don't know if you know Hagi, like the Georgian.
No, definitely, yes.
Yeah. So he wants a Hagi 10 jersey from Galatasaray if Ashik if Joselu gets a hat trick during the league season this year. And I told him if that happens, I will happily buy him a jersey. Although it's gonna be difficult, but yeah, definitely it's not a problem.
But Joselu is performing well, right? I mean, he's not doing bad.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, if you have a Fiat, you're not going to expect a Lamborghini performance. A Fiat is a Fiat eventually. That's just the thing.
Yeah.
It's playing well. But actually, Manuel, I want to actually pose a question to you, actually, because like one intriguing name I always find with Real Betis is Marc Roca, because I remember Roca won the European under-21s, with Spain. I think, was it under 19 or under 21? I can't remember. While he was at Espanyol, and then he had the big move, to Bayern Munich, and obviously you're expecting, okay, he's going to be like, the replacement for Javi Martinez in the middle of the park, or after Philipp Lahm and all those guys, but all of a sudden, it didn't work out there. He went to Leeds and then back to Spain with you guys. But how would you rate him, or like what's the thing with Marc Roca?
I hope that we buy him on a full time period, because at the moment he's on loan. So I'm really expecting for the Betis club to make a move and try and make him stay as a proper football player for Real Betis. I think he's doing a really good job. The team up, and that's the sad thing for tomorrow. Like him and Guido Rodriguez, both of them as defensive midfielders, it was a really tough line to go through for all the teams, and defensively, aside of 2 games, one against Barcelona that we received 5 goals, and then another against Athletic de Bilbao that was kind of crazy game. that we lost 2-4 after a lead of 2-0 being lost for us. And aside of that, we have been performing really well defensively, and a big part of this success has been the Guido and Roca team up on the midfield. Given the thing that Roca is a little bit younger, has a better passing skills than Guido, and for me, he's an amazing, outstanding player that is finding again his confidence. Right, he's rising on it as a player, and as you said, I think that he went too young to Bayern Munich, and having only performed at a top competition with a club with Espanyol only 1 year or 1 year and a half, like at a really good level, and suddenly boom, makes the big jump. I think that's the problem many times with youngsters. They make the jump when they still have not a proper stability performing at a really high level. So when they are expected to perform at a really high level every single day, every single minute, sometimes they do not cope well with the pressure, and they need some time to adapt to that level of pressure. And I think that Roca now he's a much more much better player than he was when he signed for Bayern Munich. But still not as interesting now because he's not 21 years old anymore. He's now 26, 27. So, those things happened. But I will definitely buy him on full time.
Absolutely. And we have one more comment from Ashik. So he says, it is odd not to see Joaquin in the lineup though, but life goes on, I guess.
I completely share those thoughts. Joaquin, I am from his year, actually. I was born in 1981, same as Joaquin. I was able to meet him once in Puerto Santa Maria after the Korean and Japan World Cup. He had missed the penalty for Spain in the decisive penalty shootout. And his charisma as a person, and this is the difficult thing for many people to understand, it's even bigger than what he was as a player. And as a player, he was an amazing player, like technically and his professionalism. But it is hard. It's one of those legends that now you see him with the president of the club and everything, watching the games, and he's like, dude, you should be playing down there, making those dribbles and those runs. Completely feel that comment.
Absolutely, a total La Liga legend. But let's slowly get into the Real Madrid side of things. So Farooq, do you want to take us through the Real Madrid news, which, if you're a Real Madrid fan, it's just waking up, reading about a new injury, reading about someone new coming in off of injury, So take us through everything that happened over the week.
Yeah, Jacob, that's the thing. As you said, it's just all doom and gloom these days. You just hope for the best, and one of my worst fears actually came to pass, and that's the injury to Dani Carvajal. We've always said Carvajal has been reborn this year, he's been playing close to the very peak that Carvajal has been. But again, we know this man is made of glass, and the issue is that Carvajal is one of the position Carvajal plays is one of the positions where the drop is so huge. The difference between playing Carvajal as a right back and Lucas Vázquez as a right back is, I think one of the biggest we have, the biggest gap we have in the squad with any replacements. And unfortunately, I think Carvajal is also out for 2 months. So it's looking really bleak there. On the other hand, we should have the team that is similar to the team that that was against Granada, except for Carvajal. So and with just the one caveat that we should be most likely expecting to see Kepa Arrizabalaga back in goal, and that's why I want to come back to Manuel again. Before off air we were talking about the fact that I don't know what your opinion is on having 2 keepers starting and rotating in and out, on what's the situation with you guys as well.
So yeah, as I was commenting before, now at this moment Claudio Bravo is injured, so he will not be playing tomorrow. Then we also, but for the last 3 years we have been rotating Claudio Bravo and Ruiz Silva. Claudio Bravo gets 3 games, then Ruiz Silva gets another 3. Every now and then Claudio Bravo got injured because he has always had a history of injuries since he was in Real Sociedad before he went to Barcelona. And so that made it possible to have this kind of rotation without much sound and noise from the supporters. But now whenever it happens a little bit that Claudio Bravo plays and some supporters think that he didn't play as well as he should, they will criticize Pellegrini saying, Ruiz Silva should be playing, but then Rui Silva plays, and some people are like, but Claudio Bravo should be playing, you know. So this is the eternal debate when you have two good goalkeepers that are performing at a good level in general, and I think that we have that. And this season, actually, we had a couple of games ago, Rui Silva was also injured. So we had our third goalkeeper who plays for our second team, for the base team, is Betis. And he performed really well, actually. He played the last minutes against Barcelona, which was a really tough game to come into because we were losing by far. And the Barcelona team was completely on form on that date, you know, and we lost 5-0. But then he played against Sevilla the full game. He made some good stops. Then he played the next game in the league as well. So he's been performing well. And I have my doubts, but I think it's going to be Rui Silva, the one that plays tomorrow, and not Betis. But still, if it will be Betis, I will be trusting him as well because he has performed well in two top demanding games, right, in the Liga. Okay. And I see your problem because now you have André Lunin, who I think he has been performing well, and then Kepa, who came to substitute the injury of Courtois, and also is a really good goalkeeper. Nobody's going to discover Kepa at this moment, right? And so it's a tough call for Ancelotti, you know, because at the end you have a young player that he's getting the opportunity and performing well, but on the other hand, the more established goalkeeper that comes back from injury and will want to start getting minutes as up, right?
Absolutely.
But yeah, what do you think, though, Manuel? Because the debate that we've always had, you know, at least on our channel, has always been the issue of, you know, the talks about, you know, everything has to be merit based. You know, if you're playing good, you should have been taken out of the team. You know, as the saying goes, like, you don't fix what is not broken. You know, so that's just the thing. Like, you know, if it's working, why take the player out? Or like, would you say it's better to have a more consistent? Okay, this is our first choice, and that way, you know, whatever happens, this is our first choice, and this is our first choice. You know, because the thing is that the goalkeeping situation is a situation that actually gives confidence to the team. You know, if the defenders don't have confidence in their goalkeeper, they also, the ability to defend also, you know, drops down a lot as well. You understand? So this is why I just want to, you know, take, because your team has been in this situation for the past 3 years, but what has been your observations? Like, do you think it should be a merit-based situation, or like, you know, having and sticking to one choice is the best option?
So it is a really hard call, actually, because as you well mentioned, goalkeeping is a fundamental part of the team. Is the trust on the defenders, is how they behave. You know, normally it's going to be the general of the defense. He's going to be calling many of the players and like, move back, go left, check out this player, you know, and making all these calls. And there has to be a trust in that, in both directions, defenders with the goalkeeper with the defenders. Me personally, I am more oriented of having one goalkeeper for the main competition and then a second goalkeeper for playing the extra games, be it Europe League, Kings Cup, other competitions. But the main competition for our club at least, it's La Liga, right? Because we need to classify to Europe League to meet our expectations, to keep growing. Real Madrid objective is Champions League. So because it's the thing that tastes better for you guys, even better than La Liga. So at the end, it's a tough call. I am a little bit more tilted to the one goalkeeper, like that you can say he is the starting 11 goalkeeper normally, and then the second goalkeeper. But if you have a coach that actually has the same trust in both, and then the defenders also have the same trust in both, and the group is like really cohesive and like really well built, I can understand the rotation in this context. But as always, depends on the context. It's going to be, each group is going to be different, and some goalkeepers, the first goalkeeper detests and hates the second one, the second one hates and detests the first one. So there is no friendship at all. Some other groups, the two goalkeepers, even though they are rivals, they are the best friends as well, you know, in and out the pitch. So it is a difficult thing to call.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to put you in a difficult spot here, Manuel, maybe, because we asked this question to our fans as well. Who do you want to actually start the rest of the season, Lunin or Kepa? And then our fan base was very mixed because it is, again, a very difficult question. So who's going to be your choice?
I think it's going to be Kepa.
Maybe for Betis, I'm thinking.
I know, for Betis, I would like Rui Silva. I would like Rui Silva. Yeah, I have utmost respect for Claudio Bravo. He has achieved incredible things in all the clubs that he has been, and with his national team as well. He has been captain of the best national Chilean team that we have ever seen. That they won 2 America Cups, and he was a really important asset for that team. And so he's a legend, and I know that he has he plays with his feet in a really good way. So he goes and gives like 50, 60-yard passes like to the foot of his teammate, and those things Rui Silva do not bring right into the table. But then Rui Silva is a younger player. His reflexes are more sharp. He's a little bit bigger, so he occupies a little bit more of the goalie, you know. And in that sense, I am a little bit more tilted for Rui Silva for the league, and then Europe League and Kings Cup. I will go for Claudio Bravo or Fran Vietis in case that Claudio Bravo is not up for the game.
Yeah, Manuel, actually, you make a good point, and that's that's a bit away from what we're discussing, but it's interesting because, you know, you talked about the fact that, you know, Bravo is very good with his feet, which is one of the reasons why he made the move to Barcelona and Man City later on. But I don't know how much you follow other European, you know, leagues, but aren't you seeing a new trend where, like, you know, because you're looking for, you know, basically a playmaker in goal, you basically forget about goalkeepers who actually can do goalkeeping.
Yeah, you're talking about Onana.
I mean, not Onana. I mean, even we saw with what's it called, the Arsenal goalkeeper, what's his name? David Raya. He's also Spanish, you know. Just 2 days ago or 3 days ago, like, it was absolute horseshit, man. Like, what's that? And, you know, considering the fact that, you know, you have Ramsdale who had done a phenomenal job last year, you know. Not just that as well, even, you know, we go to even the likes of if you see the game against City against Liverpool as well, you know, while Alisson was trying to play out of the back, basically he gifted Man City the first goal, you know. We also see this with Ederson happening a lot, and even, you know, so I don't know, what's your take on, like, should a goalkeeper be a goalkeeper, or should a goalkeeper, you know, be able to have this other facets and you know, addition to the game? And I know you're going to tell me again it's the context and all of this, but I mean, it's
No, but I have a fun experience that it was really recent. Okay. I don't know if you know that there was an event, a football industry event in Miami a couple of weeks ago. It's the Soccer X Miami, and so it's an event that happens about the industry of football, and you have all kinds of businesses that live out of football, and some of them are fan-oriented businesses. Some others are like technology applications directed to professional clubs and everything. And I attended to that event because I myself am jumping into the football industry, representing some players' interest and some sponsorship deals and things like that. And there was one of the panels because in these events you have like professionals from different areas that come and speak about the mentality of the game. How do you build the mentality of the youth players nowadays with all the resources available? And then there was one panel that was called Sweeper or Keeper. So it's directly response to what you're questioning, like boom, full stop. And you had Sasha Hislop and Bruce Grobbelaar. I don't know if those names are familiar to you.
Yeah. I know Shaka.
Yeah, Bruce Grobbelaar, I think that now he lives, he works for Liverpool, and he was speaking about Alisson, who is a really good player with his feet, and probably he's top 3 goalkeepers in the world at the moment. And he was mentioning also Ederson, but then he mentioned Adrian San Miguel. He's the second goalkeeper for Liverpool for the last years, and he's a Betis player. I mean, he came out from the Betis youth ranks, you know. And the way that he was speaking, saying like, today it is a main thing to have for a goalkeeper is like to have a good feet job, right? Like for them to be able to play properly with their feet, and not every shot that they make, it's a lost ball for their team. No, like they can actually do long passes with a certain accuracy. And he was commenting about Adrian San Miguel, that in these ways he came like really well trained, because in Betis Academy, this has been a point of work for many years already. And for me, I think that is the evolution of the game. You see more and more teams that rely on that, and they get cutting edge advantage when the plays are well made, you know, because they get this long pass that nobody were expecting the goalkeeper to make. And you got the winger or the striker like a proper goal opportunity out of a pass made by the goalkeeper. So if you are able to get these kind of chances, it's one more variable added to your game. Why should you reject it? You know, and this is something that has to be trained. and I think it's part of the future of the game, if not the present, which is already part of the present. And so I think definitely it's something that I like to see when Claudio Bravo is on the pitch. It's okay. I feel completely relaxed when I see that he's going to do a long pass with his foot, because 85% of the times or 90% of the times, I know that the receiver is going to be a teammate.
Okay.
Well, do you think though, like in the future, are we gonna see the situations where like outfit players become goalkeepers? Like, do you think eventually like this is what's gonna happen? Like, do you see this as the future of the game?
Like, sorry, like a field player becoming the goalkeeper?
Yeah, basically like a midfielder or something like that. Like due to, as you mentioned about, that technical ability, the advantage you get. And we know, like, in sports, like especially this, sports at the highest level, even 0.1% difference is a very huge difference, So do you think, like, as you mentioned, which, very, very right point, and it's interesting, sweeper or keeper, that's a very, interesting term. But do you eventually do see, an outfield player, like a midfielder or defender, eventually becoming a goalkeeper in the future?
I think that happens every now and then, but that happens at the youth level, at the academia level. That happens when you are 14, 15, 16 even. If it's later than that, I think that's going to be very difficult in general terms. It can happen every now and then, eventually, of course. But for being a goalkeeper, I did play as a goalkeeper myself, not professionally at all. I wish, but I did play. I'm 192 high, so
wow.
I had good reflexes at the time. So I did play as a goalkeeper for with my friends, and I think that's something that you need to work a lot on certain skill sets for the goalkeeper in terms of reflexes, jumping, how to actually stick your hand to the ball, how to roll when you fall, many different things that you need years of training. You can have like the specific 1 in a million talent, but now it's 1 in 100 million talent, but that's going to be like the real exception. Normally, I think that it was Victor Valdés who was a goalkeeper for Barcelona many years, and he also played for the national team every now and then. He said it in some interviews that when he played as a youth, he liked to be a striker, but suddenly one game he had to play as a goalkeeper when they were like 13 years old, and he stopped and made several saves, and the coaches were like, dude, you have been playing as a striker, but you are better than our best goalkeeper. So, okay, it's opportunity of chance. As a goalkeeper, I might reach professional player. As a striker, I will never reach it. And he started developing his skill set for goalkeeping, But I feel that in professional level, when you have a guy 20 years old already, and they have been 6 years or 4 years in the youth development program of a certain club, elite club, if they reach the top tier and they reach the first team as a central back, midfielder, striker, you name it, I do not see that change to happen as for the guy to become like their goalkeeper.
Absolutely. We do have, I think, 3 more comments for you, Manuel, before we go to the Real Madrid lineups. So Captain Fahim is here. He asks, what happened to Borja Iglesias? He was performing very good, but from the last season, not that much.
That's a big question. What happens? We don't know. It's like suddenly, well, if you see since the injury of Nabil Fekir, he started performing less, and I think that's something that remarks the importance of Nabil Fekir. He's a kind of player that because of his ability, he drags 2 defenders to cover him, and that makes an opening for other teammates to have spaces to run and create new line of passes and things like that. So Borja Iglesias, El Panda, he profited a lot from that. Not only him, the rest of the teammates as well. So when Nabil Fekir got injured last season, we saw a big decline on the offensive stats for the club in general, for Real Betis. And I think that Borja Iglesias is suffering a little bit from that. Even if we have Isco this year, but they don't know how to play together as well as Fekir and El Panda knew how to play together. So that's why William José this year is the one that is making the goals instead of El Panda.
Sure. And Ashik is also here. He says, Manuel, Real Madrid obsess over the Champions League and we shit our pants when it comes to the Copa del Rey. And is it the opposite for you guys?
Yes, we need the league classifying to Europe League every year, because that's what's going to give us the stability in economics to keep the growth that we're experiencing. We are opening a new training grounds. It's going to be 52 hectares, which is going to be one of the biggest in whole Europe. And we are projecting a new stadium that we expect to start building in 2 years' time. And for that, we need to perform in a level that we have our income completely certified at a European level for a couple of years. So for us, winning a competition, it will be an extra, but the main objective, it has to be to qualify to European League minimum. That's in order to maintain the growth that we're experiencing the last 2-3 years.
Okay, so do you guys not take the Europa League seriously at all?
We do take it seriously. I mean, it's an opportunity to dream, but we are a very suffered team. You know, we have suffered a lot, and we were close to disappearance 12, 13 years ago. So this is tough times, you know, and this creates a different way of looking at things, coming with your feet on the ground and knowing what you actually have. And of course, if we get on and keep on advancing the stages in the European League, you will see Pellegrini giving more importance to it. But as it for now, it's a secondary competition, same as the King's Cup. I would say that King's Cup perhaps is a little bit more important because of the tradition and because it's easier to win it than the European League.
Yeah, a more realistic chance, and especially if you have a lot of injuries early on in the season, it's hard to compete in all fronts.
Definitely. And that has been our case, sadly. Lots of injuries.
Yeah. So as for the goalkeeper debate, Ashik actually has his take on it as well. So he says, you can have the footwork like Maradona, but if you're not good at protecting the goal and pulling off game-winning saves, then all of that footwork means nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. I guess the other major talking point that we have for this week is, again, we still no longer have, we still don't have Arda Güler fit and ready for this game, so we're not going to see him feature. But we might probably see him against Villarreal, which is the take out there. And luckily enough, Vinny and Militao have, quietly started working on the pitch on their own. So hopefully their recovery goes well as well. So, but Farooq, these days, predicting our lineup is not that hard. We basically don't have a lot of choices, so except for a couple of spots. So keeping in mind that Modric is, fully back, fit and ready, who do you think is actually going to start up for us?
Well, I'm expecting actually the same lineup as against Granada. Just most likely, the doubt I have is, do we go with Lucas Vazquez or like does Nacho play as a fullback? And actually thinking, can they pull a 360 and actually switch a Ferland Mendy there? I don't know. Or
oh boy,
what do you think? I don't know. Like, I kind of feel like there is a lot of mental gymnastics going on. Obviously, like the direct replacement is Lucas Vazquez, but I just kind of feel like, can some mental gymnastics happen with the right back situation? No, what do you think?
Man, I feel like I've seen Mendy play there and it's not been pretty. I feel like Nacho can do a much better job there. So I feel like we should put him there. But keeping also in mind that, we might need Nacho also up and fit and maybe replacing one of the center backs if things go well. I would actually start Lucas Vazquez and just, to keep up his form, because we can't keep playing Carvajal even when he's fit, when he's back. We can't keep playing him every game. So I feel like if Lucas Vazquez gets a run of games, he'll be valuable towards the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think that's a very valid point, considering the fact that, we're not talking about just days, we're talking about, 2 months out. So, like, we actually do need Vazquez to play himself into full form. And I think a couple of fixtures, albeit, a bit daunting, are, like, very fair to him. Because after this, we play Villarreal. And then, I think we also play Union Berlin in the Champions League as well. That's already a dead rubber. So, I think that's and considering form. But then, anyways, like always when Real Madrid plays Villarreal, it's always a cup final, man. Like it doesn't matter how bad Villarreal are or what they are. So I was gonna say, the bad form of Villarreal, but then it is what it is. So I do feel like, you're right in that sense. Like we have to try to play Lucas Vazquez into form. Well, I wouldn't be surprised as well if I see some mental gymnastics from the coach, considering the fact that you have, what's it called, both Fran Garcia and Ferland Mendy as your left backs. Then why not just exploit that and try to build something on the right back with them as well. So it's going to be quite interesting to see. But one thing we know is that we can further highlight is that again, this adds, extra work to already, to overloaded, Federico Valverde, because he's going to have to put in a lot of shifts to cover for the defensive deficiencies of Lucas Vázquez, which is one of the biggest issues that's there, because I think his offensive output is fine, obviously his crosses are always here and there, but that's the thing, like if 2 out of 4 are good, it's more than enough. But just the defensive lapses are the things that we will want to pay attention to. So Federico already has to put in a shift, and that becomes even much more difficult when you're playing alongside, Luka Modric and Toni Kroos as well, considering like the advanced age of Luka Modric and the lack of physicality of Toni Kroos, or at least the reduced physicality of Toni Kroos, that makes it a bit more difficult. So again, the role of Jude also becomes a bit, more tedious, as well. He has to cover a much more ground than he has done already. So I don't know how that's gonna look like, but yeah, man, it's looking quite interesting. But then what I would just pose to you, Jacob, is like, have you been surprised by Brahim Diaz though?
Definitely. So I was one of the naysayers, especially in preseason. I was thinking, man, why did we bring this guy? We fucking lost basically 10, 15 goals from Asensio, and we replaced him with Brahim, who isn't really that prolific in front of goal. But he's really surprised me and shut me up, especially with his recent performances. So, really rooting for him. But, going back to actually our right back situation and, Fede Valverde having to cover for Lucas Vázquez in this game. So he's probably going to have his hands full facing against Isco, especially considering, it's going to be Toni Kroos in the middle of the park. So, Manuel, I'll pose this question to you. Do you think Isco is actually going to have a good game against Madrid?
That's a very tough question. Having a good game against Real Madrid generally is a near impossible quest, right? For 99% of the clubs in the first league in Spain. But I hope so, and I think that he can do his things. I think that we will see. I mean, depends on how the game evolves. If there are many fouls and if the referee calls them, doesn't call them, there are things that happen during the game that can change the click, and the mental click. But I think that he's going to be motivated, definitely, because it's a team that he has been many years. It's a team that he cherishes because he has lived many interesting things and beautiful moments. But also he went out deceived, kind of, because on the last 2 years he didn't play as much as he expected, and he lived that bad period over there. So there can be some I wouldn't say revenge, because he still has lots of teammates, like old friends from there. But you always have this thing in your heart saying, like, I have to show them, like I am still somebody who could be there. Perhaps, I don't know. So I expect Diaz to have a big game, but I'm a Betis fan, so I'm an optimistic by nature. Anyways, I think it's going to be really tough, because Federico Valverde, physically, he's amazing. He's a guy that covers a lot of room. He's good defensively and offensively. So it's going to be probably one of the toughest games that we have faced with Isco up to this moment in the competition. And I wish for Betis to win, but I will be happy to have a 1-0 in the last minute and being unfair. But I know that it's almost impossible quest, in the last years, even though we have a couple good results, but in general, it's been tilted for Real Madrid.
Yeah, I remember the last good result you got was away, and then Sergio Canales actually sank us. It was in 2020, I think, with Zidane.
Yeah, exactly. It was 1-2, right? I think it was the final
1-2
result. Yeah, but we will see. And I think that Lucas Vázquez, you were commenting about the right wing before. I think he's the best option, because Ayoce Pérez, it's a player with a lot of mobility and quite fast, with a big acceleration. And in this sense, Lucas Vázquez can match better those skills than Nacho, even though Nacho defensively is better in positioning and recovering his space. But I think that Lucas Vázquez is the most appropriate. And if I see Nacho, actually, I'm going to be kind of excited, thinking, well, here we have a chance for Ayoce to become crazy on the left wing, and do some magic over there. But we will see. It's going to be, playing against Real Madrid, as I said. You have Vinicius out, you have Militao out, you have Tchouaméni, you have Camavinga. Dani Carvajal, who was, as you mentioned, playing like really well. You have all these players that are out, but still, you look at the potential starting 11, and it's like, dude, I wish I had pretty much all those players, right? So
Yeah. So, Farooq, do you actually think if in case, God forbid, Isco actually scores, you think he'll celebrate against us?
I think it's an away game, so I think he might be tempted to celebrate at the Villamarin. But I think if it was the reverse case and it was at the Bernabeu, I am quite sure that he would not have celebrated against us.
Yeah, it's a good shout.
I agree with that. Yeah.
So coming back, so I guess the midfield is set, the defense is set. We're not gonna have any changes from Granada. So do you think Joselu actually starts, or it's gonna be Brahim again?
I think Brahim continues. He's going to be rewarded for his good run of form. And the thing about and the interesting thing with Brahim is that he brings that link up. That's a bit lacking with Joselu, honestly. So I think and we can start to see that he's actually developing an understanding with players like like Rodrigo. So I think that's really, really important. And the thing is, just continuity is there, and in the middle of the week you can take him out and play play Joselu. But then again, the issue that Milan fans always had with Brahim was that he had purple patches. Like he had 3 good games and then there were 10 bad games, and then he was like another 3 good games and then he was under 10 bad games. So that's the thing. Like we hope that that's not a continuity of what we're seeing here. But the thing also just remains that I know everyone has their own whatever about Brahim Diaz or what is and what is not, but we just have to know that Brahim is a substitute that has been called upon, and he's getting the job done. So let's let anyone not have any false ideas that like he's the next Jesus or something like that. So he's just here to fill in the gap, and he has filled in the gap perfectly. So I hope he can continue to do that when called upon.
Okay, how about you, Manuel? Like, who would you actually rather face, Joselu or Brahim? It goes back to if your defense can actually handle aerial balls, whatnot.
So if we have Petzela back, I will be with Joselu because he offers less mobility, and in defensively speaking, Chadi Riyad and Petzela, they have formed a really solid tandem, and they are tall players, big ones. They're fast, so they reach pretty much all the balls. And in aerial duels, they have really good statistics. So I will go for Joselu if Petzela is back, which I think actually I wanted to say because I just received a message from a friend of mine in Sevilla commenting to me that William Carvalho and Petzela actually trained today without problems. So they might be, I'm going to change. I think it's going to be William Carvalho and Marc Roca in the midfield and Petzela and Chadi Riyad in the fullbacks, central defenders.
Okay.
Yeah, important players to come back.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know if you saw my smile, but I was reading the message. I was like, "Whoa!"
Oh wow! So
we need all the talent for that game.
Yeah, usually after our lineups we like to do predictions. So I feel like after that message, you might change your prediction for this game.
I will stick with the 1-0 for us for Betis, but yeah, that's going to be my prediction. I don't want to go further than that.
How about you, Farooq?
I think it's going to be a 2-0 for Real Madrid. I think we're going to be able to shut down Betis and keep his score and all the Jose Perez and all those guys quiet, and and return home.
Oh, so you're gonna say no Isco Disco, yeah?
Nah, there is no Isco this week, man. The week after he can continue his disco.
Yeah, I'm gonna go for the safe 2-1 because I feel like former Real Madrid players coming back, and facing up against us is not always a good idea. They always turn it up. So probably we're gonna be looking in scoring 1 goal, and especially with Carvajal back injured, we're gonna find it very difficult to actually adjust without him. So hopefully a 2-1 victory for me.
Fingers crossed, man. A victory is a victory eventually if you just get away with the 3 points.
Absolutely. So, do you guys have anything else to say, or we can, wind it up slowly?
No, for me, it's been a pleasure to participate here. Really nice conversation. football, supporters, and with heart and respect, which is what the sport has to promote, right?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's true.
And
Yeah,
we actually have all of Manuel's Twitter and his the Peña link down in the description as well. So Betis are
thank
a
you.
really good team to actually have as your second La Liga team if you're a Real Madrid fan. So give them a look out.
Definitely. Here it's the thing for La Peña. Opa, I've got it completely upside down. But this is the Peña Betis Twitter. This is the scarf that you get when you sign up for the Peña. And I also have the official one from the club, which is I got it as a present last month that I was able to visit the club. And imagine for a supporter to be able to step on the grass of the stadium and everything, it was an amazing experience.
Okay.
Definitely. It was definitely a pleasure, Manuel, to have you on, because it's good to have real proper football people, people who actually watch the game and put all their emotions and their heart into it, and because I don't know, like I just feel like this time around we have football has just become like a capitalist business, and it's just all for the show and everything, and you cannot have like a real proper football conversations that doesn't go back to the fact that, oh, how many tackles did he have, what is the stats, what is that, like we cannot sit back to just enjoy football as a proper football fans. And honestly, it's always great to talk to football loving people like yourself, and I think it was a really good conversation from both yourself and Jacob, and so we are really glad to have you. Thank you for being on.
Thank you very much. Thank you both.
Yeah, and before we go, I'd like to take a moment to thank the viewers also, Ashik and Fatim and Jabara Blogata for tuning in with the comments, and for all of you, rest of you guys listening on Spotify, thank you for your continued support. Do check out our good, awesome reels and short form content on YouTube and Instagram as well. All the links are down in the description, so keep watch out for that. And Manuel, before we like to end the podcast with me and Farouk, we like to say a small Hala Madrid. So just not to keep it awkward, you can say whatever comes to mind, for yourself.
Mucho Betis.
All right then.
Hello Madrid.
Bye bye, guys.
Bye.